This week, what has become one of our favorite national parks now, Grand Teton National Park, and the wonderful town of Jackson, Wyoming, and the surrounding area of Jackson Hole. This is RV Miles.
Chances are you've seen them on the road. That's because Blue Ox designs and manufactures the best towing products in the industry. Just look around. You'll find them on highways, in campgrounds, and anywhere you find people traveling in the great outdoors. From award-winning tow bars and base plates to a full line of weight-distributing hitches, adjustable ball mounts, and now they have fifth-wheel hitches too. With Blue Ox, towing doesn't have to be a drag. Visit BlueOx.com for more information. Harvest Host is a membership that allows RVers to take a rest from the road and enjoy unlimited overnight stays at over 5,100 unique locations in North America, like breweries, farms, attractions, wineries, and much more. Easily plan and book your next RV trip and enjoy over $1,500 in exclusive member benefits by joining Harvest Host. Get 15% off your first year of membership with the code MILES. That's MILES. Go to harvesthost.com to become a Harvest Host member today.
Welcome to episode number 364 of RV Miles. I'm Jason.
And I'm Abby, and we are two RVers who, along with our three boys, Jack, Ethan, and Henry, have been crisscrossing North America on one epic road trip since 2016. Here at RV Miles, we talk all things RV and outdoors, from industry news to travel destinations, our national parks, and so much more.
I'm very excited about this show because we get to talk about an area which I've really grown to love. Y'all remember that I got to go out there to go skiing early last year.
March of 2024.
March of last year.
Which feels 1,000 years ago, and yet
I wanted to say it was 2 years ago. That's why I was confused.
But it also feels like you just went at the same time. It's very hard. Time is a weird thing as you start getting older. It's very weird.
So ever since I was out there in the winter skiing, I guess, or in the spring, it was March, but it's winter. I mean, snow was up over my head. And, but ever since I went there, I really wanted to get Abby in particular to the town of Jackson because I knew she'd love it, and to the Tetons because, they're gorgeous. I have to fight the urge to say Grand Tetons. I get in trouble when I say that. People yell at me in the comments.
There's only one Grand Teton.
It's the Teton Range, the Teton Mountains. You can call them the Tetons, but Grand Teton is a mountain.
Yes.
And it is Grand Teton National Park. It's named after that mountain within the Teton Range. So before we get to all that, though, we're very excited to be back home. We've finished our big 8-week spring adventure, and it was a blast. We had a wonderful time, but it was at the point where we were ready to be home, and we're back home.
Yeah.
And remember when we left, we had only lived in our new place for a month. 5 weeks.
5 weeks.
And we really have not settled into our new place at all yet. So we kind of cut that off before we left, and now we're excited to get back into the swing of things back home.
There's a lot of nesting happening on my end in the house right now. Throw pillows, decorative items are coming in.
Throw pillows.
We had a long conversation about throw pillows with mile marker members on Monday night because we had our monthly night live for June, and there was some very active discussions about throw pillows. I am pro throw pillow.
You know why they're called throw pillows?
Because you throw them off the bed when you don't want them there. Jason's very anti throw pillow. I, over the years, have become team throw pillow.
I just on the bed. I like them on like the sofa and furniture and stuff like that.
I think they add a little zhuzh to the area.
I don't
like
really
it.
look at my bed when it's made.
I love it.
I'm not in that room when it's made. It's like the 5 minutes before I get into it. I'm like, oh, there's throw pillows. Okay.
I think you know this really well, so I'll let you even answer for me. What is one of my most favorite things in the world?
A made bed.
But what else goes with that? Oh, really? Oh, this is like newlywed game. You're not going to get this?
Yeah.
There's nothing I love more than a then sheets right out of the dryer, nice and clean
Oh,
sheets, a nice made bed. And
no.
I've just taken a shower and I've put on clean
Okay,
pajamas
yeah.
and
Yeah, no,
everything.
I got all that. But,
Yeah,
I
everything is clean.
but
That is the
I will
best
push
feeling in the
back on you.
world.
I do not like sheets fresh out of the dryer.
Ugh.
I like them freshly clean, but I don't like warm sheets. I like cold sheets.
I love them fresh out of the dryer because they often have the scent, the light scent of the detergent, especially
which I hate.
and there's a Method laundry detergent from Target. It's a ginger mango that I have spent 40 plus years of my life looking for. And when I finally found the scent, because everything to me is real floral or
Yeah.
it's very
I
synthetic
feel the
and
same
fake.
way about this stuff.
Oh,
I don't care enough about it though to like push back. You do you, but
I
pick
know
whatever detergent you want. But
you give me the space to have control over the detergent. And that's probably because you give me the space to do the
yeah,
laundry.
you're
So
welcome to do that whenever you want.
Oh, I know I am. I feel like I haven't stopped doing laundry since we got back. And we've been back now a week. And
We did try as hard as possible to push using every bit of clothing towards the end there so we didn't have to do
Yes.
laundry in the last few days.
Yeah, the last week of the trip, and I'm sure when we get to that point here in the podcast, we'll talk more about it. But the last week was me telling everyone, you need to manage your underwear. You need to manage your shorts. You need to manage. You have to manage because
What does that mean, manage your underwear? Like, oh, I'll just wear these underwear 2 days now.
I'm just saying, if we had 4 days left,
I mean, I
and
guess
there were
I
only
won't.
3 pairs of underwear, you need to manage at least that you can wear one of those.
You could just wear them all for like 28 hours instead of.
I don't care how you do it. You just get home wearing a pair of underwear. Or you know what? You do you. If you're like, look, that last day I'm undie free, that's on you. I don't care how you do it. You just have to understand. Don't come to me and tell me you're out of underwear, because what I will say to you is we're not doing laundry until we get home. And so I need to go over to the rig because I just realized there's still a laundry basket of clothes that needs to come back from the 37 RV miles. So we got home, we got unpacked. We came home a day early too. We were supposed to come home on Saturday. We came home on Friday instead. We made really good time.
We just decided we were going to make it a 3-day drive back here from the Black Hills, and we decided we could do it in 2 days.
Yeah,
no
we were 700 miles away when we were at Badlands, and we thought, well, this is silly. That's 350-mile days, and it's pretty simple at this point. You're just getting on 90. We're not going to be doing anything scenic. We have one goal in mind, and that's to go home. And so we just decided to do it in 2 days, and it worked out great because, again, everyone was able to manage their underwear better. So we got home and we've been doing laundry and unpacking and getting back into the swing of things ever since.
Well, we are back in this studio now, and it's great to be back in the studio. We've got still a lot of work to do on the studio. We've already done a little bit that you could possibly see behind us if you're watching, but that's all probably going to move, but it's there.
It is there for now.
Cabinets and countertop and stuff, but we're pushing to try to get the studio done here in the next hopefully month, but it's probably not going to be done in a month, but we're going to try.
Well, and so I said, because this is a conversation that we continue to have and I'm kind of over having it, was my suggestion is if we cannot get this to a like 75 to 80% space done, because you're leaving for Charlottesville, Virginia around July 3rd, July 4th. If we can't get this place to a spot where while you're gone, I could be coming in here and doing some decorating and setting up of the office, then when you get back, we're hiring help to come in here and finish this, because this is starting to turn into a clown show. It's been like 18 months now, and we just don't have the time. And that's a good thing. That means
Yeah.
we're living life. That means we have work that's keeping us busy. You know, we don't have a lot of free time on our hands. So that's a good thing. But we need a functioning office at this point. And so, you know, if we can't grind this out before you leave, then we got to hire some people to come in and help us.
Okay.
All right. Good deal. You've heard it here. We have to hold him to this. It is now forever in stone on this podcast. You have agreed that we will hire help. And now let's talk about something that happened a month ago.
All right. So Jackson Hole, let's just give an overview of the area. So if you're, we left Utah and headed up towards Yellowstone. Was the sort of eventual destination. And on the way to Yellowstone, the southern side of Yellowstone, actually it touches Yellowstone, is Grand Teton National Park. And the sort of southern side of Grand Teton National Park, Grand Teton's kind of tall and skinny, or at least the range of mountains is. And on the southern side of it, right at the edge of the park, is Jackson, Wyoming. The town is called Jackson. The area is called Jackson Hole. The official name is Jackson for the town. Jackson Hole is sort of the whole valley, but a lot of people just say, I'm going to Jackson Hole, right? So when you've heard both of those things, they mean the same
They're
thing.
interchangeable.
Essentially. But on our way to Jackson, and where we thought we were going to be staying in and around Grand Teton National Park really changed up when we stopped in a little town called Alpine, Wyoming, which is, it was about, say 40 minutes outside of Jackson?
I would say it was a half hour, 40-minute drive up to Jackson from Alpine, yeah.
Yeah, half hour from Jackson and then another 20 minutes to a half hour into the national park. And you've seen a few videos that we've done there, some podcast episodes, some news videos. That fire pit roundup I did was in the town of Alpine at this great boondocking spot that we found. And it's on a big reservoir, the Palisades Reservoir. This was called Palisades Reservoir South Dispersed Camping. It's literally named Dispersed Camping. So it's an area that you feel comfortable going to. And it is a broad, wide, flat spot where lots of RVs could go. But maybe there were like 4 there the entire time we were there. A couple coming in and out, but we were only going to stay here a couple nights, and we decided to sort of extend that stay a bit because it was such a beautiful spot. You still have really great, easy, quick access to the highway. I mean, 2 minutes off of the highway, but couldn't hear the highway and didn't have many people around us and had just some wonderful, wonderful views. It's also right behind a brewery, which we didn't go visit, believe it or not.
Not go visit.
We were just loving what we were doing so much that we stayed here for an entire week until we felt like that we really needed to deal with the tanks and go to an RV park.
Yeah, and breweries have gotten a little difficult for us as I now eat a gluten-free diet, and I try to also stay away from dairy as much as possible. So breweries have gotten a little bit hard, not because they don't have some of those things, but because I'm not really a cider drinker, and this is a new thing for me, and sometimes my willpower is not strong enough to resist that beer that I really, really, really want.
Yeah, you
so
kind of like
I try to avoid places that are going to put me into positions where it's hard for me to make the best choice for my body. So
you like to go to them if they have an actual gluten-free beer.
Yes,
but if it's just and usually it's if it's their beer, but if it's just some random
I'm not
gluten-free
looking for
beer in a can.
Yeah, I'm not looking for Budweiser's gluten-free beer. But I had gluten-free beer in the fridge, and I had a beautiful sun deck looking out on a amazing view. And that seemed to be the perfect at-home brewery for us. So we really stayed put that whole time we were in Palisades. I left once. Well, we left twice. I left once by myself to go and do some laundry, which we'll talk about in a moment. And then we left one other time to go have pizza in town as a family. So that was kind of the first half of our stay in and around Alpine and Grand Teton area, was some dispersed camping. And then we moved 5 minutes up the road to what seems to be a relatively new RV resort. In fact, they were putting in some more, finishing up some new spaces
I think it's
while we
been
were
there
there.
a while, but it's just been completely
I
overhauled.
I think so. So it's new in the sense that it's being completely overhauled. They didn't even have their office space was a mobile office space still. So there was a lot of really positive activity going on there, but it's called Alpine Valley RV Resort. And we loved having this as our home base for exploring Jackson Hole and Grand Teton. Now,
The plan was to like go to, we had a campground booked, the Grovant campground. We
yeah.
weren't sure we were going to fit in. We had some boondocking planned up
Yeah.
and around Grand Teton. There's a lot of boondocking in that area, but we kind of just really decided we liked the town of Alpine a lot.
I really liked Alpine. I was surprised by how enchanted I was by it because there's nothing out of the ordinary special about it. But Jackson is a lot of hustle and bustle, and there's a lot going on up there, and it's busy and it can be pretty expensive up there. And the drive between Alpine and Jackson is stunning. It is beautiful. It follows the Snake River. It's a very popular whitewater rafting route.
In fact, the resort is there. It's owned by or partnered with a whitewater rafting company. I think it's owned
Yeah.
by because they've got a big whitewater rafting little cute bear
Yeah.
sculpture with waterfall. So it is sort of like you can book a water rafting tour from this park, and then they take you in a bus upriver, and then you do your whitewater raft float down and end at essentially at the park, which is
Yeah,
really cool.
it's really nice. And everyone in the community of Alpine was just so kind when we interacted with them, or, at the grocery store, or at the laundromat, or when we were out at the pizza parlor, and even the people at the campground. And so we really liked having that as a home base, and then making that drive up into Jackson and then into Grand Teton. It's not a long drive. I know 30 to 40 minutes sounds like it, but you can't get over how beautiful it
And
is. And it changes every single drive. It was so wonderful.
I was really floored by the prices of everything in Alpine. The grocery store,
Yes.
the fuel, the restaurant we went to, everything was pretty much about the same prices as we'd pay here, which this is a very affordable area to live. And then up in Jackson, everything gets really, really expensive,
Oh, it's,
like it does in any gateway community.
a third of the price down in Alpine. And so this RV resort itself also nice new amenities. And it was at the time when we were there. So this was early May. We paid, I think it was about $80 a night for full hookups. And this included a 10% discount that we got through Harvest Host. So you may remember that Harvest Host has their Campers Card program. Now, over time, they have kind of done away with the name of Campers Card, and they've just integrated all of those discounts into Harvest Hosts itself.
Not only Harvest Host, but if you're, actually just talked about this on the video I did about getting campground discounts. If you want to go check that out on the RV Miles YouTube channel. But if you are an Escapees member, which is now owned by Harvest Host,
Right.
or you're a Boondockers Welcome member, or you're a Harvest Host member, you get this group of, I think it's like 1,500 different campgrounds that they have discounts for. And on top of like the discounts, some of the campgrounds, they've negotiated some little extras, like you might get free late checkout or a free bundle of firewood, stuff like that.
So why I'm kind of bringing up the Campers Card part of it is that I will say that this campground, when I called, was not aware that it was no longer called Campers Card. So when I said I was a member of Harvest Hosts and I wanted to use the 10% discount, she kept saying, "Oh, you mean Campers Card? You have to have a Campers Card number." So there's still a little like confusion with the language. So just
maybe
be
they're-
aware.
I don't know if they're keeping it or not. I honestly, we should check with them and get back to people on how they're going forward with this. Because is the idea in the future you call up and say, I'm an escapees member, or
How is the
what's
language?
the language supposed to be? So,
We'll talk
yeah.
to them and see if they can kind of get some clarity on that, because the campground wanted to refer to it as camper's card, but in my app it just says a Harvest Host discount number. So, we'll find out for you all and let you know. So, but we did get this discount, which was great. It basically just wiped out the tax. So this was a really nice place. So a couple other things we want to talk about with Alpine and why we think it makes a really great base for exploring this whole area is we found the grocery prices at the local grocery store to be really fair. There's laundry at this particular campground, and they will give you quarters at the office. However, if you're boondocking, there is also another campground in town. It's called Gray's River Resort RV Park, and they have open to the public laundry and showers. So that could be an option as well if you are doing some dispersed camping in the area and you want to even save those tanks a little bit more and extend out there on the reservoir. You could come to this campground. I didn't look into it. I will assume that you do have to pay to take the shower. So you can look into that a little bit more, but they have a really nice laundromat in there. You can get quarters as well from them to be able to do your laundry. So when we were dispersed camping, that's what I did is I went into town and I did laundry at Gray's River. When we moved over to Alpine Valley, before we left, I knew that we were headed up into West Yellowstone and into Yellowstone, and I knew that laundry was going to get even more and more expensive. So I made sure and did all of our laundry there at Alpine Valley before we headed out. Of course, we have to recommend some pizza. We had pizza when we were in Alpine. Driftwood pizza. Fantastic. It was so good. They had my favorite gluten-free beer there for only $5, which I almost passed out when I saw that it was only a $5 can. But it's Holidaily gluten-free beer. They're out of Colorado. I've talked about them before in the past. I absolutely love this brand. I wish I could find it in more places across the country. They used to have it here at our grocery store at Hy-Vee. And for whatever reason, Hy-Vee has stopped carrying it, which was such a bummer. But they had that. They had gluten-free pizza, which was really awesome. And everything was really fair priced. I mean, we got out of there for the 5 of us, which is basically 5 adults now, at a price point that did not make it hard for me to just be like, here's my credit card.
Which has been like every restaurant through Colorado and
In
Utah.
And so it was a relief to kind of have that, a little bit of a reprieve, because as we get into the recaps, when we get to Yellowstone, there was no price reprieve.
No, it's expensive up there.
So
let's talk about the town of Jackson itself before we get up to Grand Teton National Park. So this is a really great gateway community. It's a decent sized town. They have all the stuff. They have there's like big grocery stores and there's like an REI we went to get hiking shoes for a couple people that needed them.
And things we didn't need because it's REI. And we can't walk in there without, being sold everything.
Tons and tons of shops. If you want to, you want to cowboy up and get a whole lot of Western wear, you can find it here. Lots of like log cabin Western decor stuff. And lots of knickknacks and boutique gifts to give away. There's one shop I wanted to just call out because I loved it when I went there and brought Abby there and she loved it.
Loved it so much that my family left me in there because they got tired of waiting on me and they just went on, which was fine. And I was happy to let them do that. And they were happy to let me do that.
And it's just called Made. And it's all stuff that is made by local individual artists and craftspeople in the area. And we've found similar things to this in other towns. Like Kansas City has Made in Kansas City.
Made in Kansas City is so great.
Great store that's got all sorts of local stuff, whether that's arts and crafts type things, or t-shirts or hats, or even, local
Food.
liquor and food and stuff like that. So the Maid store in Jackson was a really great place if you want to get sort of souvenirs to bring home, but you want those souvenirs to be really unique to that area and not just something that like somebody designed and had made in China and then shipped to that town and that sort of thing.
We got these beautiful leather coasters that had sort of like this burnt imprint in them. One was for Yellowstone and the other one was for Grand Teton. And they were gorgeous and pretty fairly priced too. They were made by someone who lives local in Jackson, and they were like $10 a piece. And it's nice to be able to support local artists. So that store is fantastic. To Jason's point about cowboying it up, and we'll link to it in the description. So rvmiles.com/364. But if you've ever seen that SNL skit with the big dumb hat,
this is the place to bring your big dumb hat.
This is where big dumb hat came from, like 100%. And I was disappointed that I left my big dumb hat at home because I felt like I did not fit in at all in Jackson. Didn't have the cowboy boots, and it was a total vibe. It's a vibe.
You'll see like
an expensive vibe. It's not a cheap one. It's very expensive.
You'll see like bachelorette parties that are like, wearing like the woman's got all white cowboy
like
gear
a rhinestone
on,
cowboy. It's a rhinestone cowboy.
It's interesting. And there's a lot of fun to be had. There's a lot of, cool bars and things to go to if you're not a family with kids hopping around. But we
didn't do the famous one. What's the famous one called?
The $1 Million Cowboy Bar. I did go there
bar.
with my dad and my brother and had a lot of fun there.
We did not take the kids there, but Jackson's a really great place, and we'll highlight a couple things. We highlighted Maid.
Let's talk about some food.
Yeah, let's talk about some food.
So we went to Pinky G's Pizzeria. This is a place I also went to with my dad. It's actually the first place we ate at, and I took you guys back there. They have a good beer selection, but what we've come to love is pizza places that sell full pizzas, but also sell by the slice.
Please let this be like the trend that catches on in pizzerias across the country.
So it's kind of like it's a counter service thing.
It is, but it's awesome.
And our family, none of us like the same stuff.
Nope.
It's just a thing. And also they had gluten-free crust, so Abby could get a gluten-free crust. And I could get, an interesting slice while the kids eat cheese and pepperoni. And
so you and Ethan shared a meatball one.
We did.
And then Henry and Jack got their standard. And then I got the Guy Fieri, because this restaurant, this pizzeria, has been featured on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. And Guy Fieri, I guess he has it's like a buffalo hot sauce kind of chicken-like pizza there. And so I went you just say hot sauce or buffalo sauce, and I'm usually going to be like, yes, please give me that. So I got that. The gluten-free crust was really good, nice and crispy and crunchy. Just, it's so hard sometimes. I think it's a crapshoot when you order gluten-free pizza. You're either going to get something that just tastes like rice flour sawdust, or you're going to get a place that knows how to cook a gluten-free pizza. And this place knew how to do it. It was fantastic. Again, relatively-ish cheap for Jackson is what I would say.
It's an affordable place to go in Jackson.
Yeah.
Most other places are not, but it's not too bad.
We also went to Jackson Drug.
This is cool. Jackson Drug it's an old-fashioned soda fountain drugstore that if you read the menu, they've got some information on there that they close. It's been closed for decades, and the new owners also own a ranch in town. The Jackson is known for its ranches, and they bought this place and they've been sort of restoring it. And it's only been open for a couple of years now, but it is sort of has a sort of authentic drugstore feel with kind of a little bit higher end food. Like you can get, a nice, real fresh beef burger and stuff like that. But we went particularly just for ice cream.
Yeah. So we sat at the counter and we all got shakes. Jason and I shared a boozy shake, which was a ton of fun. And then the kids each got their own milkshake. But I have to say about the decor, the wallpaper, if you go in there, just look at the wallpaper, particularly the wallpaper across from the bathrooms. That's where you get a really good look at like the wallpaper in there. But the wallpaper is beautiful. It really harkens back to like a late 19th century kind of, just a busy print, but not in an overwhelming way. Type of Victorian print, I guess, is probably the best way to put it. But it's really beautiful. The decor in there is really lovely. The bar itself, the old soda counter, is just this dark, wonderful wood, and it was a lot of fun. It's how we kicked off our visit to Jackson. That was actually the first thing we did, was take them there. We thought, look, let's get these kids sugared up. Let's give them.
I was like, yeah, 1 scoop each. You got them 2 scoops. I was like, okay,
Listen,
okay.
I wanted to be the cool parent that day. I wanted to wear that crown. So it was like, let's go get them these shakes and do something for them. And then that should give us about 4 hours of uninterrupted shopping time. They should have nothing to complain about after that, because we got them a shake.
Then there's a candy store
It gave
like
us
5 minutes later.
4 minutes. 4 minutes with the 11-year-old, and then it was nonstop.
But it's a real fun place. Definitely check it out if you're there. We went to a place. We don't often do this.
Yeah, but
we're going to mention
it.
a place we didn't love.
Yeah, so you don't go. And it's such a disappointment.
If it was a tiny place, we wouldn't even mention it. But this is kind of like a big place that a lot of people go to. Yeah. Snake River Brewing
was awful.
We had a terrible experience here.
It was,
and we're easygoing people.
Yeah, it's really hard. As one who worked in the service industry, both of us, and also who have worked in theater, and we know like the scrappiness of work in service and all of what comes with it. This was garbage. Like, this was just awful, and I couldn't justify it. To the point where you're trying. I was like trying so hard to be gracious to the server, and he just didn't want. He was so unhappy.
But isn't it just, a restaurant experience can be ruined by a server. And,
it can.
But the rest of the restaurant could be fine. But the host didn't seem like he wanted us there.
The host didn't seem like he wanted us there. The server didn't seem like he wanted us there.
Put on a table. And this is a big pet peeve that has been happening to us lately at a lot of restaurants. Our family of 5, they put us at a 4-top table and stick a chair on the end instead of putting us at a 6-top table with teenagers. There's no reason that restaurants should be doing this, but they're doing it to us all the time.
All the time. And they weren't packed. We weren't on a wait when we got there.
There's plenty of room.
Clearly, no one wanted to sit up in this guy's section.
Nobody loved their food.
But they weren't just doing it. No, the food was really bad.
My chili was, I had like a buffalo chili, and it was okay. But
I think the kids will tell you their food was fine. And it was, but it was very expensive. So, and look, we left this guy the same tip we would have left anyone else. And my justification for that was, I was hoping that maybe he had had a few people before us, or maybe he's just so over people in Jackson, and it's the worst place. Maybe it's awful to work there. Maybe everyone that goes there are horrible tippers. I don't know. But I just thought, look, we're going to leave him this tip, and maybe this will shift his day around, because it's only 5:00 on a Friday. This guy's got a long night ahead of him. Yeah. I hope it gets better for him. But I think part of it was how they were seating people like across from us. So we're sitting at a 4-top, and we're 5 people, and we've got a chair on the end. And then across from us in this tiny little section, they sit 3 people at a 2-top, and they put the 3rd chair again on the side of the 2-top, because usually a 2-top has like tables on, chairs on either end. And then they sit someone like in the section in the center of the table facing out into the walkway. And even those people are like, WTF, why are we sitting at this 3-top when next to this family that's sitting at a 4-top, and there's 5 of them, there's a 4-top that's open. Why can't we sit there?
It's
very strange.
I can assume that maybe next time I would get a better server, but the whole layout, everything about this place is not worth going to.
Also, there was a massive amount of betting going on down below us at the bar. What were they? They were like playing.
They're playing like dice and betting on it, throwing dollars out like with the bartender.
Yeah,
anyway,
it was and it looked like a ton of fun out on the patio, like out on the lawn. They had like cornhole and all of that. I think that's just like you get a beer and you go out there yourself. Like you're not really interacting too much, or like you're not, I think it's just a different vibe out there maybe.
Yeah.
But this just, it wasn't great. And for like how expensive and how many restaurants there are and different places to
That's
get
the thing.
drinks,
There are a
save your money.
ton of great restaurants in Jackson. And unfortunately, like for us, we couldn't. The one issue with where we stayed is if we had stayed in town, you and I probably would have had a date night or two
Yeah,
and left the kids
maybe.
at home, but we weren't going to do that, leaving a half-hour drive
No.
away.
And that was
So,
okay because we saved
would-
that for later in
yeah,
the trip.
but I do want to suggest a couple places for anybody that visits here for more adult meal experiences that are fantastic that I went to with my dad and brother. One's called Teton Tiger, which is like Asian fusion. Incredibly good cocktails, incredibly good food. It's Vietnamese, Chinese, Japanese, all of it. And then the other is called Gather, which is where I really wanted to take you,
Mm-hmm.
but the kids were it's just not a place that the kids would have eaten at. I don't think that a kids menu for Henry. But it's a very nice restaurant that also has like a lot of gluten-free stuff and a lot of like, they have like Wagyu and
Oh, so fancy. They've got Wagyu.
it's just like
No, I know. I'm teasing you.
it's just, it's not like super high end, but like nice food sort of experience. It's kind of like this is going to mean nothing to anybody listening, but kind of like Monarch by our house,
okay.
right?
Okay. Fair.
And it was we took my dad there for his birthday and we had a really good meal at Gather. So check out Gather if you're in the area.
But if you're wanting to, and we'll come back to Jackson in the future, like we know we'll return. You'll see when we start talking about Grand Teton that we absolutely just fell in love with this park. So I have no doubt we'll be back and we'll get to experience maybe one or two of those places in the future. But if you're needing a really big caffeine kick, there's several places you can get coffee in Jackson. I will recommend the one that I went to that I really enjoyed, and that was Snake River Roasting Company. They roast their own beans too if you want to pick up some stuff. I picked up beans earlier in the trip, so I didn't get any from there. You can order those online. They have a full coffee bar. They've got plenty of, you can order lunch there. They looked like they had a really great breakfast and lunch menu, really light stuff if you wanted to do that as well. So you can pop in Snake River Roasting Company, get a little something to eat.
Spring is here, time to get your rigs ready for the travel season. This is the perfect time to complete those much-needed upgrades or repairs, and that's where eTrailer.com comes in. eTrailer.com's customer service and enthusiast teams are ready to help you find the best solution for your unique situation. eTrailer's team is focused on putting their actual hands on everything they sell so they know exactly what it's like to use the product, providing you, the customer, with quality service and recommendations based on personal experience. If you're looking for a one-stop shop, eTrailer.com has you covered with a variety of RV items, including towing options, interior accessories, replacement parts, storage, and more. But it doesn't stop with RVs. eTrailer.com offers tons of automobile accessories, campground gear, and more. If you need it, chances are they've got it. Visit the link in the description and receive free shipping on orders over $99. More in a moment, but first, if you're like us, you absolutely need internet on your travels. And the sponsor of today's video is a great internet solution for travelers. It's a cellular device that works on multiple carriers from a company called TravelFi. TravelFi allows remote workers or anyone on the move really reliable internet access that allows you to move around freely. You don't have to have a permanent location at all to set it up. It's a small, compact device with no contracts and no commitments. You just pay for the months you use, and it just works really well, really quickly, really easily. And if it isn't working for you, they have a US-based call center to help you troubleshoot. TravelFi allows you to stream, work, and play on the go, whether you need internet in your RV, your cabin, even your hotel room. You can get internet in so many different places thanks to their multi-carrier network, and you can browse and work in confidence and comfort. When you go to their website and use the code RVMiles15, you can get 15% off your device order. Again, no contracts, no commitments. You just pay for the months you're using it for. If you're not traveling in the winter, you don't have to pay for it in those months. There's a link in the description below, or you can go to travelfi.com. That's TRAVLFI.com. There's no E. TRAVLFI.com, or go to the link in the description and use code RVMiles15 for 15% off.
All right. We have filled up. We have shopped. We've seen a lot of big dumb hats. Now it's time to go into the park and do what we really wanted to do, which was explore Grand Teton, a first for 4 out of 5 of us.
Yeah. So Grand Teton National Park, it's really special for a lot of reasons. It's a great place to see wildlife. But really the thing about Grand Teton is this mountain range, which looks like kind of a giant saw blade. It's just incredible. But it rises from flat. There's no foothills. It rises from nothing. So you just get this incredible towering view. And, so much of the land for Grand Teton National Park won't get into the history of it, but it was donated by the Rockefellers, John D. Rockefeller, and it's done so well where there's the Highway 89, the Parkway, rides along the whole park. So you can see this range from so many different angles. And then the park has its own interior roads and stuff like that. So there's just stunning views around every single corner.
And I
in
should
this park.
say too, because we skipped a little something so you have this drive coming in from Jackson. And before we get into more about the heart of Grand Teton and what we did in there, you have this drive that you're going from Jackson towards the park. It's only about 10 minutes, I think, from city center. And on the way to there, you're going to pass the National Elk Preserve. And then you're also going to see the National Museum of Wildlife Art. And we actually went to this on Mother's Day. Jason and the boys happened to remember that on one of our previous trips into the park, I had said, oh, that looks really cool. Like, I would love to go and explore that if we have time. So that's where they took me for Mother's Day. And this ended up being, especially for Jack came out of the museum with nothing but, this is one of the coolest museums I've been into. And I echo that sentiment. I really enjoyed it.
The sort of backside of it looks up against the Teton Range, and then the front side of it looks out over the National Elk Wildlife Refuge.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, we didn't see any elk in the wildlife refuge driving by it. We were going to go back and drive in the interior road into the wildlife refuge, but it was a rainy day and we decided against it. But a lot of this museum, including the restaurant that we went to, looks out over the wildlife refuge, which is beautiful. When my dad and I were there, we did see a ton of elk near the road in a big herd, but this time we didn't get to see any. Thankfully, we saw some in Yellowstone. But this museum it's a true art museum.
Yeah, don't sleep on it and think that it's just some tiny little, few artists from around the area, small little art museum, which are all wonderful in themselves. But there are some heavy hitters in the world of wildlife art.
Yeah, they've got a couple Thomas Moran paintings. Thomas Moran, Moran Mountain in Grand Teton National Park is named after him. He painted some of the earliest paintings of the Tetons, of Yellowstone, of a lot of the big landscapes that we know and love today.
And he brought those images back to the East. I mean, that was how people learned about those places.
People didn't know what these places looked like until Thomas Moran. Our first episode of the America's National Parks podcast, which is now Parkography, I remember in sort of the teaser episode, we went into detail about Thomas Moran and how he sort of launched this movement towards national parks, and somebody we don't hear about a lot. And they have a couple of his paintings. They have all sorts of different wildlife art in all sorts of different styles, and many different rooms, and a lot of exterior sculptures as well. There's a great exterior sculpture garden and a trail that sort of leads through a lot of sculptures they have. So definitely check out this museum. We did eat in their restaurant for Mother's Day, and it was
fine.
It was fine. It was kind of what you what a lot of museum restaurants
Yeah,
are.
it felt very much like having a meal at the Field Museum.
Yeah.
I really felt like I was back at the Field Museum in Chicago
Maybe the
having
Art
lunch.
Institute. Maybe like
Maybe. Well, they
yeah.
have a real, I mean,
It's not like cafeteria museum food.
no,
It's
no, no,
like
but
a
it's
nice
museum,
sit-down restaurant.
but it's like museum sit-down restaurant food, if that makes sense. And they were very nice. It was really beautiful. Our server was really wonderful. It was a lovely experience, and it was a really nice way to spend Mother's Day. And in typical, what is the theme of this time of year, if you are traveling in these areas, you know, this late spring, we were leaving the museum. And by the time we made it, like barely made it to the car, before it just dumped rain down on us. Like we could see it coming, and we're like trying, you know, by the end of it, we're sprinting.
And
And that was really common. I mean, the weather just changes on a dime
we
there.
spent a lot of time looking at the weather and being concerned, oh, it's going to rain here. Don't do that, because
I mean, be weather aware.
if it's going to be like slow precipitation all day long, yeah, that's a thing. And be weather aware. Certainly, like there was some stuff that was scary that came through, but some of the beauty you're going to get in a place like this is from seeing thunderstorms roll in, you know, a couple of miles away, and the lightning and whatever.
But it happens fast.
Yeah.
And it moves out fast most of the time. You know, sometimes it'll sit down and be there for a while, but the weather's all over the place. And you're going to learn that as you come out into these areas, out into the West this time of year. Weather is very unpredictable. So, you know, be weather aware, but also kind of set yourself up that you can participate and explore these places in different kinds of climates. For sure, you know, along this trip, we had not only the winter coats out, but then, you know, we had light rain jackets. It was a little all over. So we do that. Now we're into the park. Now let's really talk about things that we did when we were in the park.
So the first thing that we always do when we go to into a park is go to the visitor center. And
always.
And Grand Teton has one of the best visitor centers that we have been to. It's the Craig Thomas Discovery and Visitor Center, sort of their main visitor center. They have actually several visitor centers. And this one is not open year round. Actually, most of the visitor centers are not open year round. You have to go to the sort of in winter, go into the in-town visitor center. But this is just a beautiful building, first of all, and it's got a lot of stuff in it.
It is designed to look almost like a modern version of the Teton Range itself.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. And can I read to you the plaque that is outside, because I thought that was so moving.
What if I said no?
I'd read it anyway. I'd read it to everybody else and then just tell you to just come back. So the plaque is Stephen Mather. He was the superintendent, the first one of the National Park Service. And it says, he laid the foundation of the National Park Service, defining and establishing the policies under which its areas shall be developed and conserved unimpaired for future generations. There will never come an end to the good that he has done. And I loved this because I think it's really important to remember why these places exist, right? And that these were foundations and policies that are for developing and conserving unimpaired for future generations. So here we are. This is, you know, the park was formed in 1929.
But it was a close partnership between Stephen Mather
and Rockefeller.
And they were friends, and Mather brought Rockefeller out there to see this place and essentially got him to fall in love with it. And it's why it exists.
Yeah. And I think, you know, we have a generation of people 100 years ago that were recognizing the importance of saving these places for future generations. And because of that, almost 100 years later, we got to stand in that place and observe it. And I think it's so important for us to remember that 100 years from, what will be the legacy that we leave today 100 years from now? Not my generation, not my children's generation, but we're talking 3, 4, 5 generations down the line. And even inside all of that, and you know, you've got the 1920, the 1910, 1920s, we still had the wherewithal to understand the importance of saving places like this and how valuable they are. And it's hard to not stand in somewhere like Grand Teton and see something like that and then know what goes into caring for something like that and not be incredibly humbled and just proud as an American citizen that we put this kind of like conservation front and center and that it should always be front and center.
This whole visitor center is just a good example of, to me, our national park facilities should be sort of these places that we take such good care of because we're really proud of them. That this is sort of our way, because national parks are such an American thing. It's not that other countries don't have them, but the idea originated here, and we do have sort of this treasure of landscapes that some other countries just don't have, and a lot of people come here to visit these things, and the sort of pride of us showing off our front lawn, our backyard, whatever you want to call it. I think it's really special when you see a really nice visitor center like this one, the one in Denali. That whole campus at Denali is gorgeous, and I think people whine about the money spent on those things, but I think they're important.
I do too. And for me, and why, I wanted to share this was I think when I look back on the 8 weeks of this trip, I think for me that this was the park that I fell in love with the most and that I wasn't expecting to fall in love with. To me, just my own perception, and I don't know why I had this about Grand Teton, but I was just kind of like, it's just like the gateway to Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And that was silly. What a silly, silly thing for me to ever think. I mean, every National Park Service site is special, regardless of its designation. But there was something about our time hiking and exploring through this park that I just felt like when we left there, that I left a little piece of myself in this park and that I for sure cannot wait to come back to this park.
So let's talk about what we did. So there's the main highway 89. There's the Inner Park Drive, which is gorgeous. And you could just spend a day, if that's all you have, you're making a stop on your way to Yellowstone, you could just do the park drives and you could see a heck of a lot of it, which is one of the great things about this park. It's very accessible because it is sort of one long ridge of mountains and you're on one side of it. You can really easily get to it by car, by foot. There's bike paths in from town. Especially if you've got e-bikes, because it is kind of a bit of a long distance. But if you're at a campground in town and you want to bring your bikes in, great options.
Oh, I can't wait to do that next time. That'll be so much fun.
We did take one scenic drive that is sort of off of the main park roads, the Jenny Lake Loop. You may have heard of Jenny Lake before. It's a beautiful lake with a mountain backdrop, and there is a driving loop that gets you up close to it. There are also gorgeous hikes that you can do in that area that we didn't do. Hiking in general was a problem for us on this trip. This was an early season trip through the Rockies, essentially. And we didn't have a lot of opportunities to hike on trails that weren't covered in snow or muddy.
Yeah. And in fact, this particular area with Jenny Lake, we stopped at one of the picnic areas for lunch, and we had to kind of trek back into the back area where some of the picnic tables were and climb over snow. And they had just had like a ring of clearing around the picnic table that we could sit at, but we had snow piled up on either side of us. And underneath the picnic table itself was quite muddy. So even just some of the more commonly used areas were still a little difficult to access. So yeah, it was a challenge. It's not impossible. As you'll see, we did some hikes throughout this trip and we did one here, but it's a hit or miss. It's hit or miss as whether or not the trail is even going to be open. And they did a really good job here at Grand Teton keeping trails updated, and rangers were really knowledgeable. I talked to one ranger and kind of asked, like, where should we go? We're looking to do a family hike. And he was able to tell me, well, we just went out on this one the other day. We know that this one is fairly clear, but you might want to stay away from this one. It's still incredibly muddy and still packed with snow in some places. So those are things you need to, again, be aware of. You may not get on some of those trails that you want to get on, but you find the charm in other places in other ways.
We did do one hike in this park, the Taggart Lake hike, which is a sort of a bit of an incline hike up to a mountain lake.
Hmm.
And
We did not complete
we
it.
didn't complete it. We didn't
We
make
didn't
it to the
complete
lake.
it because
It got so snowy. And we did such a great job of buying everybody good hiking shoes. And one of our children wore
accidentally
the
to
wrong
yeah,
shoes.
but it was to no one's fault.
No,
It was just a
but
lack of
he
communication.
was slipping all over the place.
Yeah.
So at some point we decided, okay, it was a gorgeous hike regardless because we were along a mountain stream and there was little waterfalls and stuff, and we had a great time. So we did just turn around without making it our way all the way to the lake. But Taggart Lake is a very popular little lake hike that a lot of people take.
Any day on a trail is a good day. It doesn't matter how much you completed. It doesn't change your ability to be a hiker or that you know. And so we had a great time on this. And then after that, we went up to Colter Bay, Jackson Lake area.
Lake it's a dammed lake, but it's huge.
It was
incredibly huge.
I think this was
And
the best time of year to see it. It
oh my
was
gosh.
stunning.
Well, we saw it when we saw it on the drive when we stopped at the dam. And that was nice enough. But then when we got up to Colter Bay, so Colter Bay is at the north end of the park. It's sort of the closest end to Yellowstone. Although I don't know that I'd recommend, there's a campground here. We wanted to stay in Colter Bay, but the campground was not open yet for the season. That's how early we were here.
Yeah.
A lot of the campgrounds were not open yet for the season. So, a lot of people stay here to go into Yellowstone. I don't think it's quite close enough for me, but it's there. It's an option to the south entrance. But Colter Bay, there was still ice on the water.
Yeah, I know you're going to be overlaying all of the footage that we took as we're talking about this, but the chunks of ice and the water was so still that the reflection of the mountains and the blue sky onto the water, it was just unlike anything I had ever seen, and it was so beautiful and so quiet.
It was that was the great part about Colter Bay, the whole Colter Bay area, because not just the campground, there's the lodge and stuff. There's several campgrounds and several lodges throughout the park, and several of the lodges have restaurants and stuff because it is a wide park. Or a tall park, I guess, would be how I would describe it. And the whole Colter Bay area, there was just a visitor center open.
Yeah.
The lodge was not open, the restaurants and all that sort of stuff. So there weren't a lot of people there yet. There was a lot of the park workers getting stuff ready for the season. There were a couple other people we met on the beach, but for the most part, we had the place to ourselves and it was silent.
We just took the most beautiful family picture that I will treasure forever. It was so stunning. I could have sat there all day and just watched the lake, which, boy, does that sound like an old person thing to do, but it was just so wonderful. And clearly older individuals know something that I did not know when I was much younger, and I'm learning now how wise they truly are.
Yeah.
But that was a really special highlight of the trip. And so that was kind of one day, and we had really stunning weather that day. And then on Mother's Day, when we had gone to the Wildlife Art Museum, and as I had said, we'd gotten caught in a storm, we decided it was our last day. And one thing we had not seen, it was our last day to be able to go into the park. And one thing we had yet to see still was Mormon Row. And of course, it's incredibly iconic.
Yeah, so this is the famous photos of the Tetons often have the molten barn in the foreground of them, and the molten barn is one of the structures in this area they call Mormon Row, which is where Mormon settlers settled. There's actually people that live there still. There was a home right there,
which I was not expecting. So we had this one really beautiful day where we went on the hike, we went up to Colter Bay, we went to the visitor center. Then we had the day where it was Mother's Day. And so it's, there's a storm that's clearly rolled in, and we're thinking, okay, well, we're going to drive over to Mormon Row. We really just want to see it.
This was actually our second attempt at Mormon Row, though.
It was.
We had tried to
yes.
go to Mormon Row. Look closely at the map. The map, there's like a road that goes, there's a road that goes to Mormon Row from the south, from the Grovant Road. Don't take that road.
No, it looks like it does connect.
They put a gate across it.
But they put the gate after you get on the road and you drive for quite some time. Then you show up to a gate that says it's closed.
Gravel road, and you have no idea.
Not great. Ethan just texted me. Hold on just a second.
So our second attempt was on this day where there were sort of thunderstorms rolling through. So we actually find the right way to get to Mormon Row.
And we're watching this because we're like, these are like some storms,
and we get right to it, and
oh my gosh,
the wind and the rain was so strong that it was like a whiteout condition in a blizzard.
So we get to the barn area off the main road, and we're like, I think maybe we're gonna go ahead and we've seen it, but I think we need to kick out of here. It looks like there's a real storm coming in. And then all of a sudden it was like, hi, I'm actually here now. You weren't paying any attention. And we had to stop the truck, and we just got broadsided. I mean, all of a sudden we went from a little bit of rain, a little bit of wind to tropical storm gusts.
It was
and just hail, pounding rain.
At least 20 minutes that we had to sit and wait through this before it was light enough that we could start trying to drive out of it.
And you're trying to be like real chill because everyone's feeling a little anxious, and in the truck, it is amplified. The sound,
of course,
because it's just hitting on that metal roof, steel roof, whatever it is, aluminum, aluminium, and it is just your head is just swimming with the sound of this. So we got caught, and we were fine and safe. We weren't the people who got caught in the outhouse bathroom as it hit, and she's trying to get out of it and run across the field roadway to her automobile. And I am just watching this play out, and I am like, I probably would have taken off too, and made for the car, because I think that's the last structure I want to be in when 50, 60 mile an hour winds show up. But at the same time, I was like, oh, this has the potential to go sideways really fast. Yeah. And so it was a little intense, and then as soon as the weather, as soon as it rolls in, rolled right back out.
I have to say, so this barn, the molten barn, looks gorgeous in photos, and it does its job.
Yeah,
and for the reason it's there in a lot of photos is that it really shows you this sort of low-lying valley with these mountains towering up behind it, and gives you a sense of scale, and gives you a sense of human size compared to all that. When it's not beautiful outside, it's just a barn.
Well, it's a working area.
Yeah.
So it's still a working farm, I believe, in some capacity.
The barn's not a...
No, not the barn itself.
The barn's falling apart.
But everything around it, and there's homes around it, either rentals or cabins or people are living there, or they're Park Service employees, or I don't know who it is. But it's a weird feeling. And I do think if we had been able to get out and maybe go and read some of the plaques.
Oh, you love reading your signs.
Read some of the signs and learn a little bit more.
This area I felt to be somewhat skippable.
You think you're going to get like a Cades Cove experience.
And
it's not that at all. People live here, and here's the barn where they have to put up with people who show up before sunrise on a regular basis right outside their door to take all this picture of this barn.
All that said, they are going to be revamping that area.
Oh, good.
And putting a visitor center there, a small visitor center, a little interpretive center, and actual parking. There's no parking.
There's no
It's
parking.
it's weird.
Good. I think that's really great. I think it needs, given how famous it is as a photographic landmark, I think it's long overdue that it gets a little bit love over there.
It's one of those things. It's famous for being in photographs. It's not photographed because it's famous, right?
Exactly.
And then now it is.
Yeah.
But like that's the whole
Yeah.
thing. So
it does need the Cades Cove treatment
but it
a
gives
little
you
bit on
it
it.
gives you sort of this sense of like
What it must have been like to live there and try to farm and ranch there.
ranching is such a big thing in this area, and it still is. That I think the history of ranching is part of the national park and part of the existence. Actually, ranchers were very much against the national park originally for, lots of obvious reasons, but actually were the ones in the end who came in and decided, actually, I think this is what we need to do.
We need to do.
This is going to keep, the town of Jackson from becoming, the next Salt Lake City, right?
Right.
So there was the ranchers were the ones that made this happen. A lot of them donated land, and I think there is something about that image of that barn set against the backdrop that is just so Jackson.
Yeah. So that was our time in Alpine, Wyoming, Jackson Hole, and Grand Teton National Park. We had such an amazing time. We would love to know what were some highlights for you. If you have been there, of course, you can share them. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can share that in the comments, or you can head over to the RV Miles Facebook group and let us know over there. All right, it is time to check the level of our tanks, and that is sponsored by our friends over at Liquefied RV Toilet Treatment, the No BS Toilet Treatment. Okay, Jay, what is in your black tank this week?
I have to pull up the photo of it because I took a screenshot of this that I want to share. So this is a Facebook post, and this relates to something that just happened to us. We just had a tornado come through town.
We did.
And it thankfully was not bad, caused some property damage.
You should
Nobody
overlay
was
your
hurt.
photo, though, or the video you took.
So I was down here in the office.
Yeah.
I went on the roof. The sirens are coming off. I'm watching the news, know it's coming in. Really could see, not like a funnel, but could see where it was. It only hit like a mile, 2 miles from here at the office.
It did not jump the river. So the kids and I were in
Jump
Davenport.
the river.
Well, it didn't jump the river to Davenport.
No, but
is what I
it
meant.
jumped the river
to
down
LeClaire.
towards LeClaire.
Yeah, I was just talking about me, myself, and I. Okay,
yes, but there's a myth out there that tornadoes can't cross rivers.
No, I just meant in all of this hullabaloo of when it was coming. Yeah. We've got your parents who are in the Milan area, not far from you. You're here in Rock Island. I'm out there in Davenport. And so 2 out of 3 groups of people were in like the heart of this tornado. It touched down like a mile or so, 2 miles from your parents' house, I believe.
Also, my brother lives a little bit out of town. Actually, he's the only one that got some damage.
Yep.
His their family property, the roof came off the barn.
Yeah, so it was quite a bit, but I was just meaning it didn't jump to where the kids and I were. The sirens and everything were going off, and we were sheltered in our tornado area at home. But
I was on the roof as long as I could feel comfortable up there before I decided, okay, I need to get down to ground level. Yeah. But then I sort of opened the front door to the building and took some footage of.
I would have still been up on the roof.
What the rain and
probably
what the rain and the wind looked like, and it was pretty wild, but it wasn't that bad here. There was like a mobile home got destroyed.
We were very fortunate,
but. In those same storms, that line of storms went all the way down south to Texas. In that same line of storms, somebody posted this in a Facebook group. We're under a tornado warning at the present time in Lubbock at a Love's RV park. So, Love's truck stops, a lot of them have RV parks now. Some of them have just a few RV sites. Some of them have a whole small campground. We've stayed at one. It was fine. But the point being here is the rest of this post. The people in the store shut the store down and will not let us to take cover from the bad wind and rain and hail.
You are kidding
and
me?
we saw in this area here, we saw lots of posts in like the local Facebook groups, like we were in the Dollar General parking lot and they locked the door and they wouldn't let us in.
Yeah, but that
And-
person just wanted to go shopping.
Right, well-
they weren't staying at a Dollar General
But what if they
RV
weren't?
park.
But what if they weren't? And I think there's a level of like, the corporations are telling their employees, this is what you do. You lock down, you don't let people in, you kick people out. We don't want the liability and all that sort of
or
stuff.
if those people stay, they have to stay until the warning. If that is, at least with this conversation about Dollar General.
But you're in Texas, you're in tornado country. And you have an RV park, not just an RV park. You're Love's Truck Stop. You've got an RV park there. And then
No.
you've got all the truckers that are staying overnight there.
No, that is so unacceptable.
You want all of those people to not have shelter?
If you have people on your property and they are paying to stay on your property, you provide them with a safe place to go when there is a tornado warning in the area, when there is severe weather.
I almost wonder if because most states, and really these are usually county laws, but most counties where you're in tornado country, if you have an RV park, there has to be a designated tornado shelter, either in the park or it's a building across the street that people can go to, whatever it might be.
So that would be my question. Did they have any kind of bathhouse, or was this one of those loves where it's just the parking spots?
Yeah, I don't know the answer. Some of them have bathhouses, some of them don't. But even if they did have a bathhouse, think of all the truckers in that lot.
We're gonna follow up with Loves on this. I would like an answer about this, because if their policy in their areas is that they have people on their property paying to stay on their property, they are guests on their property, and when severe weather strikes, they are not going to do what is necessary to provide those people with a safe place to go. If that is the case, it will be the last time that I ever stay at a Love's, that I recommend a Love's, that I talk about it, because we have been in enough dangerous situations, be that in a state park, a county park, a federal park, a private campground, and they have come to us and said, there is severe weather in the area. This is XYZ where you need to go, or we do kind of recommend that you exit the park.
I got to tell you too, I'm also floored by the people in the comments of this post defending this. They're like, they shouldn't have to risk the liability. The liability is somebody dying on your property because you didn't let them in the building.
I was going to say, wouldn't the greater liability be someone dying in their RV in your campground because you did not take the steps to ensure that they had somewhere to go in Tornado Alley?
And people are actively posting. These people were in an active tornado warning. And let's remember, a warning is either a tornado has been sighted,
or there's
rotation has been sighted in the radar.
Yeah.
And people are telling these people, well, get in your truck and go drive somewhere safe. Drive away from the. Don't get in your vehicle.
No.
In a tornado warning.
Fact, when we were listening to the local news weathercasters during the storm that was here on Tuesday, they couldn't say it enough. If you are on the road, get off the road. Do not get in your car. Do not drive right now. It is not safe. We have either an active tornado about to come down. We've got rotation above us. Do not get in a car. Get off the road. And they would even be like, if you know someone on the road right now, call them, get them off the road.
I couldn't believe when I was on the roof,
right?
The number of people driving with the sirens going off, driving across this high bridge.
This woman complaining in this local group that she's sick and tired of sitting around her house when there's warnings. And if she listened to every weather person out there, she'd never leave her house. And how dare the Dollar General be closed and she can't go shopping during a tornado warning when literally just down the road from her, your brother's roof is being ripped off of the barn.
And
It
that's a
shocks
great
me.
segue into my fresh tank. And my fresh tank is local weather forecasters.
Oh, you took my fresh tank, you stinker.
Sorry. That's
This
my
is
fresh tank now.
okay. You do you and take my fresh tank.
Weather forecasters, look, this tale as old as time. They get so much crap for being wrong. And first of all, I gotta say, the weather forecasts, people act like they've gotten worse over the years. First of all, the data doesn't support that, but I also have no memory of that. I remember as a kid, they were like, when they started talking about 5 days, they were like, this isn't going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen in 5 days. The 5-day forecast is now much, much more accurate than it ever was before. But do you know where, but side note here, do you know where the most accurate forecasts are in the country?
Right here in our hometown.
No, actually, the Midwest has some of the worst accuracy of forecasts.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise
The
me.
most accurate forecasts in this country are in Florida.
Florida.
It's not. This has nothing to do with
listen,
who's doing the
it's
forecasting.
because
It's about
hurricane.
the type of weather systems that are there.
A hurricane gives you days
You're like,
notice.
yes,
okay.
it's going to rain this afternoon. It's going to rain every afternoon in June and
Y'all,
July.
we got a hurricane development out there. Right now, the path it's on. Get prepared. It's probably going to show up in about a week. We know it's there.
But no. Here's the thing. We have gotten into this. We look at the Weather Channel app and it's wrong. We look at the Apple app and it's wrong. And we're all dealing with the apps and having this internet-based weather and just waiting for alerts to hit our phones and stuff like that. And I have found the local forecasters, especially during a weather event.
Oh, during the weather event. They
have been really incredibly good.
Yeah, look, Kyle with a C was killing it Tuesday night. He got it done. Like, I am on record of talking, I am on record being like, look, being a weather person is like the worst and easiest job at the same time. You're not required to be right. You're not.
But you're required to have.
But leading up to, it is all fact-based science guessing. In the moment, though, what they provide, the service that they were providing us on Tuesday night was life-saving service. And I was very thankful that I was able to go on YouTube and have them streaming live.
We still did watch them on YouTube.
Still watch them on YouTube because
we don't have an antenna.
It was an antenna. I paused my YouTube TV till football season's back. But that's a great segue into saying, though, why also radio matters. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, because in situations like we ended up losing the internet. Like, we didn't lose our power, but we lost our internet. So I didn't have access to be able to continue to watch them. So these are services that are invaluable that we are in jeopardy of losing. Tuesday night, they provided an invaluable service to this community.
It might not be the same everywhere, but here, I guess we're fortunate.
Well, and they also said they spent a lot of time not just talking about the Quad Cities area, but they tracked the storm when it was still quite southwest. And they even said, look, I know a lot of you are going to be angry because we haven't gone back to regular programming, but these people down south, they are just as important and they need to have this information as well. And we're going to stay on and we're going to stick through this and we're going to make sure that those people down there are just as informed as the rest of us up here. And I think that that's really important.
And that's the thing that people don't understand when they say the weather forecasters are always wrong. What they're not realizing is the size of the viewing area, and that thunderstorm that didn't hit you might have hit somewhere else in that viewing area.
Look, I razz the weather people all the time. And yes, the Weather Channel app is garbage. It really is. But Tuesday night, I really appreciated what they were doing for us locally.
You need actual people to do this stuff still.
And I've stood in a room with Kyle with a C.
You can't just take, you just can't take what the National Weather Service says and shove it into a computer program and spit it out. Their people have to people that know the landscape, people that know
Yeah.
the traditional patterns of some of those things, and people that can be visually watching the radar and seeing rotations starting to form. They were watching that, and they saw that tornado. They said, "Oh, that's going to be a tornado right there,"
Mm-hmm.
and that's exactly what it was. It's they're looking on their cameras. They're like, "That lowering is going to be this tornado, and it's on this trajectory. If you're in this trajectory, get safe right now."
So loves, these things aren't jokes.
Yeah.
Provide your people safe places to go if they're going to pay money to stay on your property.
Because guess what? We're getting a lot more tornadoes than before, and they're in weird places.
So we just shared a fresh tank.
Yeah.
We'll just say that was our shared fresh tank.
What's your black tank?
Oh, my black tank is when you bring instruments to an outdoor summer concert and you're not the band. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So here we go. When I saw that you told me last night that
I was going to use this. I
know.
called it. I called it as my black tank.
You did.
And then I changed my mind
so
because
now,
I came across that post. But.
You've given me this gift. So thank you. I get to be this person. Listen, right now, you go to a summer concert.
Let's explain, set it up.
Okay, yeah.
Where did we go?
We went to downtown Moline on Bass Street. They have their summer concert series. It started last night. It was a beautiful night. The place was packed. It was gorgeous.
A yacht rock band.
But they did know yacht rock. It was very weird. I don't know what they were playing. There were so many songs that Jason and I didn't recognize.
Like deep yacht rock that people don't recognize type stuff.
We're still, I keep wondering, like, when am I going to get my cover band playing my music? I'm waiting for that still. So anyway, we go, it's great, walking around, we've got our drinks, and we're standing there, we're enjoying the band. And then all of a sudden there's this table of individuals, couple individuals. All of a sudden she's busting out a tambourine to start tamborining with the band. They've got one of those little shaker tambourine.
They've got like a wood block to hit.
A wood block to hit.
It was like it's like a stick with bells on it.
A stick with bells.
Yeah.
I was waiting for the frog.
A whole set of instruments, percussion instruments.
All these percussion instruments, but they're like miniature versions. And
they look like sisters. They're like a little bit older than us.
Jamming. Yeah. Oh yeah. They're probably like 10 years older than us.
And this is a big crowd.
And they're just jamming.
They were a decent ways away from us at one point, and I could hear that tambourine loud and clear.
She was playing that tambourine like she was on America's Got Talent, and she just wanted that golden ticket.
Don't bring a tambourine to a concert.
Listen, look, I am so happy that you are living your best musical life right now, but the rest of us are not. Because when you, as my mother has been known to say, beat off clap, then
clap off beat.
Yeah, but she says beat off clap. And so
we all have our things. Your mom says phrases backwards.
She means to say, and I've done it, she means to say clap off beat.
You say words that don't exist.
Look, I say lakey eggs instead of achy legs.
That's the same thing.
It's the same thing. And so she's out there on one of the songs. And so this was the best part. And look, again, live your best life, but I also be mindful of and respectful of other people who are trying to live their best life too. One song, they're playing this song. Jason and I are like, we don't know what this song is. And this song is like never ending. Okay, this is like yacht rock, prog rock.
But then it began with sounding like a popular
It started
song.
to switch, and it sounded like it was going to go to Pink Floyd.
It sounded like it was going to be Brick in the Wall.
Yeah. And
it wasn't.
You could see that she was like, oh yeah, it's Brick in the Wall. And she grabs the tambourine and she starts going and she's doing the tambourine. And then all of a sudden she realizes it's not Brick in the Wall and she can't find the beat. And she's trying to find the beat to this song and she can't do it. And I'm just like, but she, at that point you're like, I've committed to the bit. Like
she had walked down. She had moved from her table and walked down to the dance floor with it, and she's like in the middle of it.
I'm doing the dance. I'm doing her dance right now, and I am like, I'm just like, I just couldn't. I just couldn't because I felt so bad for her and so embarrassed for her, and at the same time so annoyed with her because I was like, please stop with the tambourine. It's not brick in the wall. It's not what you think it is. So, just
It wouldn't matter in any song. We
Unless-
didn't need the tambourine.
unless the band wants you to sit in with them on your tambourine. You are not the band. You are
This is
not
also-
what we came to see.
Also, this is the thing
Leave it at home.
that always gets me about bands like this too. You go to, see a local band play, and they're playing and playing, and all of a sudden you realize, like, oh, you did this. You're like, they have a keyboard player, and that guy's up there just going
Look,
to town. They have a bongo player.
I
He's
was
up
like-
there going to town, and you can't hear
Can't hear-
either one of
Can't hear a
them
dang thing.
at all.
I
They're
was like-
playing their hearts out, and they're not in the mix
Listen,
at all.
no, and I looked at you at one point and I was like, oh, I thought this was a 4-piece. I was like, this is a 6-piece? I was like, this bongo player, they've left him space to riff. They're each, they all like to get up to one another and be like, okay, man, you take this solo, bro. So guitar player does it, bass player, they look at each other and they do their thing. And then they all get kind of quiet to let the bongo player go. And everyone's like, can't hear it. But that man is working so hard for his money right now and nobody can hear it. So it's outdoor concert season. I love it. But you got to leave your musical instruments at home unless you're the band. Thank you.
That's it for this week's episode of the RV Miles podcast.
Yes, it is. And hey, a reminder really quick. Homecoming is coming up. We're less than 4 months away. And we have got so much fun planned. You are going to want to be there. So just head over to rvmiles.com/homecoming so that you can join us in Amana, Iowa, September 24th through the 28th. All of that stuff is listed over there. I'm not going to tell you all about it. rvmiles.com/homecoming. And we will see you in Amana. But until then, stay safe. Your tambourine is not part of the summer concert series. And keep logging those RV miles.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.